What if the world you live in was built on the ruins of a system that worked better than the one you have now? Not louder, not more violent, not more advanced in machines, but more stable, more balanced, and far less dependent on debt. This is not a story about magic, not aliens, not fantasy. This is about something far more uncomfortable. A highly organized economic system that functioned without modern banking, without endless interest, and without financial dependency. And then, almost silently, it disappeared. No public collapse, no global announcement, just removal. This is the story of the Tartarian system, and why its existence posed a problem for modern global banking. Before we go any further, let's be clear. This is not about secret rulers or wild claims. This is about patterns, architecture, records, and economic logic. History isn't only written by liars. It's also shaped by what gets simplified and what quietly gets left out. When you study ancient cities across Europe and Asia, you notice something unsettling. Advanced infrastructure, unified architectural language, civic buildings that imply planning, not chaos, and a scale that doesn't align with the economic tools we're told existed at the time. That raises one simple question. How was this paid for? Traditional history gives us a convenient answer. Kings, taxes, empires. But those explanations collapse under scrutiny because massive stone cities, complex civic layouts, and long-term maintenance require something very specific. A stable economic system, not sporadic taxation, not constant warfare, not debt cycles. Stability. And stability is exactly what early modern banking struggled to achieve. So what if, before modern finance, there existed an economic model that didn't rely on debt expansion? A system where value was distributed, not extracted, based on surviving records, maps, and urban design patterns. The Tartarian system appears to have operated on three principles. First, local production over centralized debt. Communities produce what they used. Second, infrastructure as a public constant, not a profit center. Water, heating, civic buildings, already built, already maintained. Third, contribution over currency dominance. Labor, skill, and participation mattered more than accumulation. This wasn't a no-money society. It was a low-dependency society. And that distinction changes everything. Now, here's where things become uncomfortable. Modern banking systems rely on one essential mechanism. Debt must grow. Interest requires expansion. Expansion requires dependency. Dependency requires central control. But a system that is locally sufficient, infrastructure-rich, low debt, community-balanced, doesn't need large-scale financial intermediaries. It doesn't generate endless interest streams. And it doesn't accept permanent obligation. From a banking perspective, such a system isn't inefficient. It's unacceptable. Here's the key point most people miss. The Tartarian system wasn't violently destroyed. It was replaced, gradually, through administrative restructuring, through legal reclassification of land, through the introduction of compulsory monetary systems. Ownership shifted. Public infrastructure became taxable. Debt became normalized. And over time, the old system stopped being remembered as a system at all. It became old architecture, old cities, old empires, disconnected from their economic logic. History doesn't need to erase something aggressively. Sometimes it only needs to stop explaining it. When economic context is removed, architecture becomes aesthetic, infrastructure becomes coincidence, systems become myths. And once that happens, there's no need for suppression, because the audience no longer has the tools to recognize what they're seeing. This story isn't about the past. It's about perspective. Because once you realize that large-scale societies can function without extreme financial dependency, it reframes modern assumptions. It raises uncomfortable comparisons. Why is housing now unaffordable? Why is infrastructure constantly underfunded? Why does productivity increase but stability decline? Not because alternatives never existed, but because the alternatives didn't serve. The systems that replaced them, The Tartarian system didn't vanish overnight. It faded as new rules replaced old balance. And once you notice that, you can't unsee it. Because history doesn't only tell us where we came from, it shows us what was taken off the table.